Hello and welcome to another edition of the Michigan Conservative Roundtable. We're like the five, but there's only three of us, and without Dana Perino. Tonight we're going to have a Marty monologue where we have just the right amount of alliteration, and tonight we're going to talk about words. Everybody uses them. I am about to use some now myself, as a matter of fact. Aristotle, he said that words are what separate men from the lower animals, and I think he's right. The Gospel of John starts, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." I think these two things are very important to us. I think that they kind of point to words are what really make us the closest to God. Words are what make us the most godlike, okay? And I think that's why it's important that we use them well, and that's why I want to talk about them a little bit today. You might remember a few weeks ago I gave you a quick little three-pointed philosophy lesson. Today I'm going to give you a quick little three-pointed English lesson on English grammar. Context matters, and I think we'll all agree on that, but before we get into context, we're going to talk about what words mean. And words can have three basic meanings. They might have more than one meaning dictionary as far as the dictionary is concerned, but they have three basic meanings: the denotational meaning, the connotational meaning, and the meaning within jargon. The denotational meaning is what the dictionary says a word means. The connotational meaning is what a word might mean in context. Jargon is just that, jargon or slang, and there are words that maybe they're not defined this way in the dictionary, but we use them as jargon and everybody understands within the world of jargon what they mean. Already told you denotational meaning is what the dictionary says. Connotational meaning is what a word means in context. Kill, a dictionary will say that is taking another life. That's the denotational meaning. If you're sitting around dinner and there's one slice of pizza left, you might say, if nobody wants that, I'll kill it. That's a connotational meaning. You're not really killing the pizza, but you're eating it, you're consuming it. As a curler, a guy that plays curling myself, we talk about killing stones. And that just means knocking a rock out of play. That's more of a jargon meaning. So I hope that's enough of an example that you know what I'm talking about. Again, words are the closest we have to being godlike. I think that's where we're the most like God. And again, that's why we have to use them well. And we have to be very, very careful about how we use them. Freedom. Freedom's a great word. I'm for freedom. You're for freedom. Or am I? See, freedom is something where context becomes really important. Freedom to do what? Freedom to do it why? Freedom to what purpose? Okay? We really can't just be for freedom. We have to be for freedom under good contexts and for good reasons. Peace. Peace is another one. Peace is a useless word by itself. Oh, I'm for peace, you're for peace. Well, someone breaking into your back door, are you going to peaceably subdue them? I don't think so. If your country's under serious attack, are you going to peaceably stop it? I don't think so. No, peace under what circumstances? Peace why? You got to be concerned with questions like that. The corollary then is war. Well, everybody's against war. Everybody's against war. Well, I don't know many people that were against World War II, at least on the Allied side, because, of course, war is always unjust on at least one side. The Nazis and the Japanese militarists, well, the war was not just for them, but it was certainly just, for the Chinese and the Russians and, the Americans and the Western Allies, of course. So war, you can't really be for or against it. What are the circumstances of the war? Education. Who is not for education? Republican, Democrat, anybody in between they're for education, but what do they mean by education? Is it education that will make men and women truly independent thinking, men and women who can do for themselves and by themselves? Or is it education to another purpose? One of the problems we've got in our country in this day and age is that too often education is propaganda. It's trying to take these students and make them into something that the powers that be, the educationists, one of my favorite education writers, a guy named Richard Mitchell, by the way, you should look him up. He calls them educationists. They're trying to affect young people and then all the way up into colleges for reasons that the students don't really understand why. And all they're trying to do is convince these people to believe certain things because it's useful to the powers that be that they believe those things. As opposed to what C.S. Lewis talked about as propagation. Propagation is teaching and passing on right truths to men and women, young men and young women, so that they can become those independent thinkers that I spoke of a minute ago. There's a difference between propagation and propaganda, and if you want to talk to me about education, are we propagating or propagandizing? And that's the question I want answered if we're going to have a serious conversation about education. It even gets into phrases, entire phrases you have to be very, very careful about. There's a local university here in the Detroit area that the billboard says, "Never doubt an open mind." Man, that's probably the first mind that I would doubt, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with being open-minded. But as Bishop Fulton Sheen once said, you don't want to be so open-minded that your brain falls out. C.S. Lewis, to fall back on him again, taught that an open mind and open question is a good and wonderful thing, but an open mind on closed questions is deadly. So, you know what? Before I'm just going to trust your mind because it's open, I want to know what the question is we're discussing and just exactly how open your mind is, because if it's totally open, I'm not sure that's the kind of mind that we can trust. You can't force morals. That's another phrase we hear all the time. It's like, that's kind of a two-edged sword there. On the one hand, if you mean we cannot force people to behave morally, that's obviously right. How long has murder been against the law, and how many murders still get committed? Okay? But by the same token, if we mean you can't force morals, so let's not even try to influence people to become better people and therefore a better society, now you're using that phrase for the wrong reasons. So, again, you want to talk to me about morals? You got to talk to me about what type of morals. You got to talk to me about what exactly you mean by that phrase. Then we can begin having useful conversation. In short, I think the real bottom line here is that if you really want understanding, charity, and clarity, you need to use your words well, which means you've got to be concerned with their meaning. You've got to express yourself well and proper with that in mind, okay? So I think that's about it today. That's going to conclude my Marty monologue. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment. Please like and share. And as we always say at the Michigan Conservative Roundtable, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.